Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Saturday Morning Comic Review. I'm your host, Dylan Wallace. Today, we got a great episode for you guys. We are going to be mostly catching up on books from last week, but I have some backlogs as well. We didn't really have that many books from last week's polls. It's just going to be 9 for this week, but I was able to get to the shop, so I picked up my books for this week. Just didn't get a chance to read them or get through the Omega, or, get a chance to record in Omega anyways, because still packing up and getting ready for this move. So we'll have this regular show that posts on Saturday. I'm actually recording this on Thursday, and then we'll probably have just one more episode before I take just a week or so break in order to move, get everything all settled, get this all set up in the new house, and then probably back to the normal cadence from there. So that's a little housekeeping for you, but of course, we'll go through the polls for this week. We'll review our 9 books that we have today, and we'll go through the polls for next week. So let's go ahead and jump into it, shall we? And of course, we always like to start with the picks of the week thus far. So up on the screen for the folks that are on video, you can see everything here, but for the audio folks, I'll go ahead and read it off. We have the top 5 books listed from League. No surprise here for me. Absolute Batman issue number 19 is number 1. What is maybe a little bit surprising is just how high that percentage is, 62%. Now, Absolute Batman always crushes. It's definitely the number 1 book that's going on in comics right now. 62% though is an overwhelming majority at that point. So I will get to that one. That'll be in next week's episode. Of course, I did pull that. So we have that one. Then we have Batwoman issue number 2 with 4%. Nightwing 137 with 4%. Invincible Universe Battle Beast issue number 8 with 4%. That book seems to be doing pretty well. As maybe consider picking up the trade on that one. I always see that in the top 5 week over week. And then we have Lobo issue number 2 with 3% of the vote. So those are the top 5 of those. I just have the one, just the Absolute Batman. Lobo and Batwoman, I read issue number 1, but again, for those, it was just a pre-order of like the first issue, not actually pulling the full series. Didn't feel compelled enough to go ahead and pull the rest of the series, so really just stopping at number 1 for those. But obviously, Absolute Batman we have, and we are for sure going to continue to read through that. So with that, we have the polls listed up here. It was just 6 for this week. Absolute Batman issue number 19, like I mentioned. Then G.I. Joe number 21. Kill All Immortals 2 number 4. I believe that's the conclusion to that one. Then Redcoat issue number 17. Good to see Redcoat. I feel like I haven't read that book in forever. Then Tigress Island issue number 2. And then last but not least will be Ultimate Wolverine issue number 16. So those will be the 6 books, again, featured on next week's show. But with that, I think we can now transition into the review for this week's show. And so, 9 books, like I mentioned. I'll go ahead and read off all the books in order so you guys know which ones will come up when, in case you want to jump around a little bit. But here we have Transformers issue number 31. The Nice House by the Sea issue number 9. Iron Man number 4. And then Moonstar number 2. So that's it for the polls for this week, or I should say the previous week. It was a very small list. Then we get into our backlogs here. So we have the start of volume 10 for Saga. This is issue number 55. Then Ghost Pepper, I mention this each time, but they don't have like a clean break of when each issue is, so it's just kind of the continuation into the story. Probably have like 1 or 2 more issues worth to read after this, so call it number 4. Then Poison Ivy issue number 23. 23. Then Dark Patterns issue number 2, and then The Last Ronin issue number 2 as well. So those will be the 9 books featured on this week's show, all in that particular order. We'll start off here with Transformers issue number 31. And if this is your first time tuning in, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate that. Let me just give you a lowdown of how we review the books. So I will try to catch you up on the story thus far. I'll let you know whether or not this is a good one to jump into. And then when I talk about the book itself, I do spoil the book. So just keep that in mind. If you're not interested in spoilers, it's just not going to be the show for you. But then I'll go ahead and show off the artwork for the folks on video to see if you're interested. And then lastly, whether or not this is a good one to jump into. And then, of course, my rating on League and the League rating as well. So those will, kind of be the format. And hopefully I don't forget any of the elements as we transition from one book to the next. I've been known to do that. But that'll be the format. So starting off here with Transformers issue number 31. I gave this book a 4. League gave it a 3.8. Not surprised to see lower than a 4 on this one. It feels very much like a setup issue. I don't want to say filler, but setup issue, and certainly one that you didn't need to read in order to gain kind of the full story here. It's a focus on Megatron. It doesn't really take place in any of the timeline that we're at right now. It's just very specifically a Megatron, almost prequel-esque, but certainly, sometime in the past. This is where he's going through all these trials, and he's captured by some sort of entity, and they're putting him through these tests of like this endless gauntlet of killing these enemies, and then they eventually kill him, and then he's forced to do it again and again and again, thousands of times. And so it's just a rehash of what was happening in that situation. It looked like it was going to be revealed to us who exactly did this to him, but that hasn't happened yet. That'll come in probably the next couple of issues. And from what we understand at the end of this issue is that Megatron is under the control of whoever this being, this entity is, and he is not in control of his own decision making. So he's under the influence of someone else, and not whatever way that he's acting is not fully his own, character and his own willpower. So that's kind of the only interesting piece that comes out of this. Other than that, not necessarily a good one to jump into, and more of a setup rather than filler. But some people would say this is a filler issue, and I wouldn't blame you for saying that either. So that does make sense for the 3.8. We'll go ahead and show off the artwork here. Where we're at right now for the story to catch you up there. I mean, we're almost at a stalemate between the Decepticons and the Autobots. Basically, a lot of the Autobots have gone back to Cybertron. Optimus is no longer Prime. And so with that, he just decided to stay on Earth, fight the good fight. And so now we're basically getting to the point where building towards the next big battle here that takes place. But a lot of this is just, going through this battle and this trial as he's trying to fight his way through. So, that is Transformers issue number 31. Again, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 3.8. Then next up is going to be The Nice House by the Sea issue number 9. So for this one, this is, in my opinion, more of a filler book than a setup. So a little disappointed on this one. It just felt like nothing really pushed anything forward. So I ended up giving it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.1. The cliffhanger here was pretty good. But other than that, it's like, all right, we're still kind of edging towards like this big reveal, what's actually going to happen. But nothing massive kind of took place here. So keep that in mind for this one. Nice House by the Sea is a tough one to recommend jumping into just because there's a lot of like storytelling. It's non-linear storytelling, and the way that you piece it together, you really need to read all of this. But on top of that, you really need to also read Nice House on the Lake as well. So start there. It's definitely worth it in my opinion, but it's a lot to catch up on because that's 12 issues, and then here you are at 9. But anyways, for the story, the world has gone to complete shit with these aliens that have selected pods that they put 10 human beings that represent different, trades and abilities and capabilities, and they're trying to create like the best little test pod, if you will. So we have Walters, who's the lake pod, and then Max's, who is the sea pod. And so the sea folks realize that the lake folks exist. They cross over into those pods. And now the sea people are trying to kill all of the lake people. But Max and Walter, who are these aliens, they can kind of see behind the scenes. They've basically frozen the sea people. And Nora, who's a character that's friends with both Walter and Max, who helped design the pods, helped pick the people that would be in the pods, is told by Max, like, hey, basically, because you have these two pods interacting with each other, one of them's going to have to go, and you can only be left with 10 people, and you need to be part of selecting those 10 people to actually move forward. So that was the cliffhanger of issue number 8. And it's under the impression that not everyone in the lake house is going to make it, which is like kind of the good house, if you will. That's the one that we all started out with. And not everyone in the sea house is going to make it. So this issue, all the sea people are basically frozen in the lake biome, and the lake people are rounding them all up and trying to figure out what to do. Meanwhile, in the sea biome are, I think it's 4 different people, 3 or 4. 3 from the lake, one from the seaside. They're making their way back to the lake. And so as the lake folks are trying to figure out what to do, at the end of the issue, Max then shows up. And she shows up in front of everyone and calls out Nora and says, Nora, enough of this just messing around. You need to decide who all is going to stay. And then subsequently, who all is going to be eliminated. So cool cliffhanger there. But other than that, I was hoping just for a little bit more advancement. I'm sure we're going to get it in issue number 10. I'd imagine this is going to be a 12 series one, just like the lake volume was as well. So we're coming close to the end here, but kind of TBD. On the art side, it's never been an art showcase. It's always been more on the writing side, but it's a nice little complimentary to what all is happening here. This is where Max kind of reveals herself to Nora and everything there. But it's all about the storytelling in this particular one. So that's Nice House by the Sea. Again, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.1. Then we're going to go to Iron Man issue number 4. So this one, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4 as well.
Nailed it. I know. Thank you. Moving on.
And for this book here, this is kind of the classic MCU. Iron Man, was trapped in a cave, created the Iron Man suit there. And what is happening now is Madame Mask, after sleeping with Tony, came up with the idea after some pillow talk of like, hey, if I wanted to recreate a Tony Stark, I need to basically put some sort of super genius under the exact same conditions as Tony was, have them in some sort of cave, use their wits about them to create Tony who he is, but her own version of it. So Tony catches wind of this, finds out where she's hidden on this helicarrier, infiltrates it, but Madame Mask captures him, and now he's trapped in, effectively one of these little pod biomes on the ship as well, and is forced to escape. So that was the end of issue 3. Issue number 4 is Tony on the ship trying to find his way out, and he does eventually escape. You have some cameos here, right? But they're all illusions as part of the ship. When he breaks his way out, he meets some of the other folks that were nominated for an award that he was going to give out. So there are other super geniuses as well. One in particular has a set of skills in communication, so he's been working with trying to coordinate as many people on the ship as he can. They've broken out to a certain extent, but I think it was like 12 or so that you had there. There's only a handful of them left, so some of them just didn't make it. But now it's like, okay, let's try to escape the ship. So as they try to do that, Madame Mask has like a second in command, if you will, Fixer. And Fixer is all jealous that Madame Mask is giving more time to Iron Man than to Fixer. So he goes about making his own suit. And he shows up at the very end as the advanced Iron Man to now fight Tony and the rest of the kids. So that ends up being the cliffhanger. It's a fun story. I'm enjoying it. I don't know if this has the juice to continue. We'll see. Obviously, super popular character, mostly driven from the MCU and Robert Downey Jr. for obvious reasons. But on the comic side, there's plenty of interest of it just because of the character. It seems that Iron Man can't get quite a long-standing series. I don't think he's gone past, issue 19 or something like that in comparison with some of the others. So this one doesn't necessarily seem to have the sauce either, but it is playing, the hits of like the typical origin story that we all like to see. So we'll see. As of right now, I'm not super impressed. The art is kind of standard Marvel. The story itself feels kind of so-so. Time will tell, folks. Time will tell. So can I overly recommend it? If you're into Iron Man and you specifically want an MCU version, like, yeah, this is going to be your one. Other than that, though, probably not. Probably a skip for most folks. So yeah, that's Iron Man issue number 4. I gave it a 4. League gave it a 4 as well. Then the last one from last week's polls is going to be Moonstar, issue number 2. Very similar story to Magic. If you guys read that one, it's the same writer on this one as well, Ashley Allen. And so for this one, I'm actually surprised League went as low as it did. I gave it a 4. League gave it a 3.7. It is a wordier book, but it feels like for this one, this particular issue, it actually was warranted. So I was kind of good with all of that. The story thus far, we have Moonstar, and she is called to help because there is this guy, Cryan. He stole this sword. If you're familiar with World of Warcraft and the Lich King, it's basically Frostmourne, the sword of like, it steals people's souls and it collects them all within the sword. Same thing is basically happening here. So Moonstar heads out with 2 other like Valkyrie type people. They fight this guy. One of them dies. So that was the end of issue number 1. Moonstar and the other Valkyrie, they get away. And so when they get away, the other one is all pissed off, right? It was this friend, this comrade who's dead. Half blames himself, half blames Moonstar. Moonstar's kicking herself as well, but just like trying to reason with him, like, hey, we got to just now move forward. This is not how she wanted this to play out, and her sacrifice would just be in vain. And so what they figure is like, okay, he's going to go after this, MacGuffin that he needs to capture in order to basically spread out the signal of the sword to, get a larger area rather than just going like city to city as he has been. They show up there, and at first it seems fine, and then these zombies start attacking them, and they're like, okay, he must be here because these zombies are active. Sure enough, he shows up at first as an illusion. He starts as Moonstar's grandfather, but Moonstar, figures it out pretty quickly. He's like, my grandfather would never do this. And then he shows up. And when he does, he like casts this vision to Moonstar, and you can see that Cryan has like this crazy tortured backstory of like lived a horrible life, like was kicked around as a kid, just this horrible upbringing. So you see like where all of this hatred comes from, but even still, it's like, okay, it doesn't justify what all is going on here as well. And so basically it comes to a point where now it's a stalemate between Moonstar and Cryan, and like, where is the fight gonna go from here? So that's what the story is kind of in a nutshell. On the art side of things, I think the art's pretty good. I do enjoy it thus far. I think I'm going to stick with it. There may come to the next issue and I have a change of heart, but as of right now, it just feels, very classic comic book story. So we'll see these two, I'm sure, get closer and develop some sort of relationship. We'll see if they can resurrect their friend or if they're just kind of gone forever, kind of TBD. But until then, I'm kind of rocking it right now. So yeah, that is Moonstar issue number 2. Again, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 3.7. Then we get into the backlogs here. We're going to start off with Saga, and it's like, man, where do you even go from here? I can imagine some people fell off of Saga at this point, but it's kind of interesting as to where things are headed. So for issue number 55 at the start of volume 10, I gave it a 4.5. Lee gave it a 4.6. So still, very good from the rating here. Tough to obviously jump in at this point. You just start from the beginning. Of course, you're going to fall in love, and then you're going to want to read everything as well. So the anthology has volumes 1 through 9, and then volume 10 was the first one outside of the anthology. So this issue, it's, major spoilers at this point. If you're not interested, like, stop right now, because the last issue was bananas. But, in issue number 4, Marco was killed. And so with Marco dead, now it's like, okay, what is going to happen to Alana and then the daughter Hazel? And so many years go by. It's like 3 or so years that have happened since Marco has died. And it looks like Alana and Hazel are like flying about to different planets. And you very soon start to realize that Alana is doing whatever she can to like kind of get by. And what she's doing to get by is she was like selling formula on the streets, but like doing it like bare-breasted, trying to get people's attention and using, it's like the oldest job there is, or whatever kind of the reference is. But they get shooed off the streets by a bunch of winged soldiers, but there's this big conflict happening on this particular planet, so they have to leave as quickly as they can. There's like this suicide bomber that happens for one of the Horn people as well. And so when they get back to their ship, the ship is kind of worse for wear as well, as it's been around for quite a while. And you realize it's not just they're trying to sell this like baby formula, but they're also drug dealers as well. The guy who's on the cover here is like some dude that's, I guess, works for Alana. At first, she says, pretends to be her husband, and you're like, oh my gosh, did she like remarry or whatever? And it's like, oh no, he only did that to get her out of a pickle from getting arrested. She gets all ticked off about it. But yeah, they have inside the rocket ship as they're about to take off, she tells Hazel that they're smugglers, but in quotes, Hazel says that they're drug dealers is what they're doing now to try to get by. And I'm sure a whole bunch of shenanigans are going to ensue from here. On the art side of this, I can't even really show it off because there's a lot of breasts that we got to be mindful of here. So here they are there where they're trying to sell the formula back to the rocket ship here, and basically, the other thing, Squire. So Squire's still with them, but he's like completely nonverbal since everything that's happened to his father, and then of course to Marco as well. So yeah, this is Saga. It is cool stuff. I'm loving it, of course. For me, there's no slowing down, but I could imagine people read the Marco thing and are like, I'm done. That was the whole thing, was the family and the crazy adventure, and I'm out. But for me, I'll certainly keep going through it. And after this, once I complete this volume, then we're going to get to the singles, and we'll just go from there until we are finally caught up. So next, and then again, Saga issue number 55, I gave it a 4.5. Lee gave it a 4.6. So next here is going to be Ghost Pepper. So this issue number 4-ish is where I think I'm at. I ended up giving it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.2. Not like it's a filler, because it's tough to tell, again, with no breaks in between the story. I'm just like, best guess is like, I feel like the story ended here. Or, they cut it off for the next issue. But it's Ash, Leloy. They're out in the desert. They're trying to get away from Leloy's rival food truck chef. So he is all jealous of Leloy because all the lines end up going to him and not to her. And so the rival chef, sent out one of his stooges to try to fight Leloy, and he's like just a complete oaf and imbecile, but he gets all super ticked off and he starts to fight. And so then Ash gets out of the truck. He's able to stop him very quickly, and when he does, the other chef is like, oh crap, I am way over my head, I'm out of here. And he leaves his buffoon oaf help with Leloy and Ash, and they're like, I don't know what to do with you. And they're like, well, I guess Leloy, and he was like, we'll keep him for now, because we can't just leave him out here in the middle of the wasteland doing nothing. So that is what they decide to do, and they basically pick up a pet. So that is basically all I got for the story. I'm sure things will start to pick up with Grandpa Tar and everything that's happening with him, but that has not happened for this issue. So yeah, here's some of the action where the chef is like, go out there, you oaf, and fight for my honor. And he's like, yeah, I'm not like really interested in doing any of that stuff. And then he finally gets ticked off, and he does. But when he does, that's basically where this all comes to an end. I think the other piece that happens in here too, and I think I may have mentioned, I already mentioned the Grand Batar. He was having some sort of ceremony, but basically shortly after that, he noticed something and retreated, but I think I talked about that in the previous issue. So yeah, this is mostly just, this final piece here is this beast that attacked the planet years and years ago is on the moon looking down at the earth. And so I was like, okay, that feels like the fitting point and ominous thing of like, oh, he may be attacking again at some point, but we'll kind of see. TBD there. So yeah, that is Ghost Pepper. Art's outstanding. Reminds me a lot of Battle Chasers, actually. And then the story itself, kind of so-so. I feel like maybe this would be a one that would be maybe a little bit better if I was just reading all of it at once rather than in this format. And who knows if I'm really cutting it off at the right point. So maybe suffering that way. But we'll kind of see how it all wraps up here for Volume 1. There is a Volume 2 that they are putting out as well. So I think that's around issue number 9 or something like that at this point. So again, yeah, Ghost Pepper. I guess for issue 4, if it's around there, I gave it a 4. League gave it a 4.2. Then we'll go to Poison Ivy here, issue number 23. This book feels really random, but then again, some of these Poison Ivy books have felt really random now that I think about it. So this one, I gave it a 4. League gave it a 4.2. Artwork continues to be excellent. We have the fight continuing between Woodrue and Poison Ivy, and she's come to the realization that she needs to sacrifice herself in order to stop Woodrue. And when she's about to do that, Harley Quinn then shows up. So she shows up, provides a little bit of backup to keep off some of the remaining zombies off of her. And so as she's doing that and fighting to get close, it almost seems like it's inevitable that the swarm is going to get to be too much for Harley. And so then randomly, Red Hood shows up out of nowhere. He's like, yeah, Batman told me about it, and it's like he summoned me to go and try to help. And it's not super clear what exactly he does to help out, other than like take out some additional zombies. And then on top of that, this blue mutant who we met a couple of issues ago back in the unfinished like skyscraper building, he shows up too, and he's like, yeah, I can do some sort of infusion thing that's going to keep Woodrue at bay. So basically through Red Hood, Harley Quinn, and this blue mutant flower guy, they're able to stop Woodrue from sending any of the zombies out and potentially kill him. But it's like, at what cost? Or were they in time? Poison Ivy, she's like splayed out, and Harley is there, like, crying, hoping that she's not completely dead. So that ends up being kind of the cliffhanger there. The story, or the art is very good. Not maybe quite as good as the other issue where it was just kind of Harley and Poison Ivy and Woodrue just going one-on-one, but it's still really, really good as well. So I'm enjoying it. Tough to jump in at this one. You could start at this volume, but you really can't start here at this particular issue. So, this is volume number 4, I want to say. Or maybe it's volume number 5. Where are we at with Poison Ivy? Oh, I should have hit the back button, not that. Yeah, number 4. So, Origins of Species is where we're at. So, you start with the origin story, and that basically catches you up to where we're at right now with Woodrue. And then we just have one more issue, and we'll be done with this, and then on to volume 5. So, again, for that particular issue, number 23, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.2. Sticking with DC here, then we have Batman Dark Patterns. Of course, was interested in this one because of just every week. It seemed like for picks of the week, you had Dark Patterns up there. So finally, you have the full trade, all 12 issues together. This is Dark Patterns issue number 2. I gave it a 4.5. Lee gave it a 4.4. This is an excellent, excellent noir. I am loving it. It's like truly detective Batman that we have here. So we're dealing with Wound Man, and Batman's like, okay, let's try to figure out where he's going to end up next. He does, of course, because he's Batman. And when he gets there, the thing is like he can't really fight him because he has all these different like pins and knives and nails all throughout his body, like all stuck in there. And so if he were to attack, it's going to push into like a major organ and be a fatal blow. So what he has to do is he has to knock him out. And so he takes basically a almost like a chloroform gas type deal, sprays it on him, so he passes out. But the problem is like chloroform is like, oh, it's not as easy as the movies make it seem, that you put it on a towel, put it over someone's face, and they're knocked out. It's like extraordinarily poisonous. So you got to really get down to like the weight ratio. It's like, I think I got it close, but who knows? Plus all the stress on the guy's body with all these pins inside of him. So he brings him to the closest place, which is the coroner's office, who's like kind of a weird guy too, to keep him alive as much as possible. And then he goes out to meet out with Gordon. So when he leaves to meet with Gordon, it's not just Gordon there. It's like the mayor, and then the mayor also has like this really high up executive at this pharmaceutical company. And Batman started to piece it together that maybe this wound guy was like infected by something or like tested on. And what my theory behind it, and we'll see as we read, is like they came up with some sort of chemical that people couldn't feel pain, or this guy couldn't feel pain, like trying to take pain away, basically. Oh, people were in pain, we were trying to take it away, but they like truly took all pain receptors away, and now they're like craving like any little pain, so they just like can't feel anything whatsoever, just 100% numb. And then he's one of these victims of it, and so now the pharmaceutical company is like trying to cover it all up. That's my guess. I have no idea what's going to happen, but that's where it feels like where it's leading right now. And, you know, Batman's kind of piecing it all together. And so, you know, you have Commissioner Gordon who's meeting up with the mayor, and I think he like shakes his hand or whatever. And it's like, okay, like this guy is definitely shady. There's something going on here. Then meanwhile, Moon Man, he wakes up at the coroner's office. I was like, uh-oh, is he going to attack? Where's he going to go from here? Is he going to escape? TBD. What is going to happen? But it is cool stuff. It's super dark and grim, and like just the detail on each and everything that Batman is doing, I'm loving. The artwork is excellent. It's hitting every single note. So really good stuff. I do highly recommend it. Again, you know, I picked up the trade here that has both volumes in it together, so it's gonna be 12 issues. But I think that is the way to go. So yeah, that is Batman Dark Patterns issue number 2. I gave it a 4.5. League gave it a 4.4. And then we'll wrap it up here, folks, with The Last Ronin issue number 2. So Last Ronin felt like one of those things where you just had to read this. Every time the shop gets it, completely sold out. Read the first issue. It's awesome. Now reading through the second one, but I am not a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle person whatsoever, right? So I have trouble even remember which is which and what color bandana that they are. But I know it now. So Leonardo, blue, Michelangelo is orange, Raphael is red, and Donatello being purple. I think I got that correct. So now I'm like, okay, let's like figure all this out, because it's going to matter as you get towards the end here. But in issue 2, it is revealed that it is Michelangelo who's the one that's still alive, or Orange Ninja Turtle, who's like the funny one. He's the pizza guy. So it's like, oh, of all the people, it's really him. And so he wakes up after attempting to commit suicide because he failed in his mission to stop, I guess, getting revenge on the one that killed all, or is responsible for the death of the other turtles, and I assume Master Splinter as well. And when he wakes up, it's April there, and then it's so far in the future that April now has a daughter as well, Casey, and we get a little bit of the history of what all happened. So they were either going on a mission or coming back from a mission. All 4 turtles alive at this point, and they get jumped. And Master Splinter in particular looks like he's mortally and fatally wounded. Not dead yet, but like he's down for the count, and it's not looking good at all. And so all the turtles are all pissed off. They're like super sad of like, oh my gosh, this seems like this is it. Raphael in particular gets pissed off. He's like, screw it, I'm going after them, and I'm trying to take out whoever, you know, tried to take out Master Splinter. And so when they start fighting, Raphael, of course, gets overwhelmed, and he gets stabbed in the water, and that is how he dies. So you get that backstory. Then the other piece you get to is when all the turtles are dead, then Michelangelo, he was basically went on a trip of soul searching, gone for years and years, and then finally decided that he was going to come back and then be the last Ronin and avenge his brothers. So that is the story that we get here, and then we'll see how they end up, you know, trying to go after them once again. So it's cool. The art is outstanding. It's a wicked story here. If you're, I feel like, a Mutant Ninja Turtles fan, this has got to hit for you. For me, I wasn't, right? So that is the problem that you have here for me of like trying to get super into it. But, you know, here is where we start for part 2 with Master Splinter when he's brought in and all the chaos of what all is happening. This is when Raphael decides to go back out. You have this awesome fight scene that takes place, and then where unfortunately he gets stabbed and he dies. And then we get some of the backstory that comes. Oh, and then we have like, you know, training that's basically taking place of folks in present day. and then you have the backstory, and like completely changes up the art as well of like what Michelangelo was doing while they were down for the count, basically. So that is part 2. I'm enjoying it for sure. I mean, I gave it a 4.5, and then Lee gave this one a 4.5 as well.
Nailed it. I know. Thank you. Moving on.
Excellent book. I'd say of these, no, Dark Patterns was definitely the comic of the week. That was outstanding. This is a close second, though. Good stuff all around. So yeah, that is it. Those are the books. Let's go ahead, recap them real quick before we go into the polls for next week. So we had Transformers issue number 31. We get a little bit more of Megatron's backstory and that he's under the influence of someone else. Nice House by the Sea issue number 9. Max revealing herself to the Lake folks, and Nora needs to choose who will be part of the remaining 10. Iron Man number 4. So Iron Man's with the other, award-winning finalists trying to escape, but then Advanced Iron Man shows up, controlled by Fixer. Moonstar, we have both Moonstar and one of the Valkyries trying to chase down Cryon. They meet up with him, and the fight is on. Then we have Saga issue number 55. We have Alana and Hazel. They are now drug dealers trying to get by. Then we have Ghost Pepper. Around issue number 4, Leloy and her rival food truck cook, they get into a fight. The stooge for the rival cook now joins up with Leloy and Ash. Then we had Poison Ivy issue number 23. We have Harley Quinn. We have Red Hood, who help out to try to stop Woodrue, along with the blue kind of infected Flower as well. And looks like they stopped him, but were they in time for Poison Ivy? Then we have Batman Dark Patterns issue number 2, learning more about Wound Man. We think this pharmaceutical company may have something to do with it, but the Wound Man is now up and potentially has escaped. Then the Last Ronin issue number 2, we get some of the backstory. It's Michelangelo is the last one. Raphael, we find out how he was killed, how Master Splinter was injured, and then what Michelangelo was up to while he was officially the last Ronin. So yeah, those are the books. Those are the 9 that we reviewed for this episode. With that, we are now going to transition into the polls for next week. Locked and loaded with a very small number of books. Just 3. Maybe been the smallest polls ever. Maybe ever, full stop, but certainly in the time that I've been doing this podcast. So all we have is Absolute Wonder Woman issue number 19, Exquisite Corpses number 12, which is going to be the final one there, and then Void Rivals issue number 29. So that's it. We're getting close to Free Comic Book Day, first Saturday in May, which is actually when I'm moving, so wish me luck on that. I don't know if I'm going to actually be able to get out this year, which is unfortunate, but we'll see what happens. And then, we got the move coming up. So one more podcast that I'll be doing before the move. Then it'll be a week or so, break until get everything all squared away and set up in the new house. And then hopefully we're right back to it. So, I'll keep you guys posted as always. With that, I think we'll go ahead and close it out. So if you enjoyed the show, be sure to check out the description below. That's where you can follow the show on social media. On top of that, if you'd like to support the show monetarily, you can go ahead and check out the URL below, buymeacoffee.com/SaturdayMorningReview. There you can contribute anything that you're willing to. All proceeds will basically just go towards the comic books. So if you want to help out there, that is where you can do that. And with that, I think we will go ahead and close it out. So thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate it. And I will see you guys in the next one.
Go. This has been a DMW production. Thanks for stopping by.